So we're going to be exploring the future of tokenization. The panel will be moderated by Paul Pultner, and he will be joined by Andreas Pettersson from Capacity, Emmanuel Standler from the Natural Gem, and Bianca Stoll from Simply Tokenized. Guys, I hope you're somewhere around here. And okay, perfect, you're here. That's, you know, one is enough. Perfect. The panelists are joining you.
Yes. A presentation, and then I will ask him on the panel.
Absolutely.
So
okay, great. So in that case, the stage is yours.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So it's now time for Web3 and Metaverse. Before we go into the topic of Web3 and Metaverse, I would like to explain a bit why we are doing that and why we are doing this with Startup Live. So with Startup Live, we are a pre-acceleration program. So we work 2.5 days intense with startups. On the first day, there's a pitch presentation. On the second day, we come together, we have workshops, we have mentoring, and then we have the final presentation. Of course, we are very happy today to have the cooperation with Wolf Summit. So as you have seen here, the last 6 startups are from the last pre-acceleration program together with Wolf Summit. And one more topic I want to point out, we have now a special format. So Startup Live is very general, so everybody can join. The next events are, for example, in Malta, we have Kosovo, we have Zurich. And now we have a special topic, and that's why we are today talking about Web3 and Metaverse. We have the World Web3 Metaverse Challenge. So we go to 7 countries. In 7 countries, we make the pre-acceleration program for Web3 and Metaverse. And then we invite all the winning team end of the year to Vienna to have a joint pre-acceleration program, and we will select one of the winners of, let's say, global. So we will also go to Israel. We also plan for Dubai. So it will be a very nice topic. We had today already the presentation. Today it was one of the first presentations where we had the panel discussions out of the Metaverse. So you could really see how it's going. And if you're interested to see our virtual campus, this is our Startup Live campus in the Metaverse. You can visit our booth. It's in the one-on-one meeting area. There you can also take the VR classes and join yourself, and we will also make one Startup Live event one day only in the Metaverse, so you need to get your VR classes and really test and work with startups online. So now it's the time to jump to the panel discussions. If you want to join any of the Startup Live events, go to www.startuplive.org. And now I would like to introduce our panelists. First of all, I would like to on stage Emmanuel Stadler from Natural Gem. Big applause for him. We have Bianca Stoll from Simply Tokenized. Big applause for her. And we should have someone from remote. Andreas Pettersson from Capacity should join us remote on stage. I hope we can see him. He told me he's there. Perfect. Hello, Andreas. Great that you're here with us on stage.
So, can you see me well?
Perfect. So let's start. I come here to you. Let's do a quick round of introduction. Emmanuel, I would like to start with you. Who are you? What are you doing? And what is Natural Gem?
Yeah, hi everyone. Final panel discussion of the day. I think everyone is looking forward to the networking event, so we will keep it short and interesting, hopefully. I'm Emmanuel. I'm from the Natural Gem. We're not really the company that you might expect here. We've been in the business for a while now, beyond the startup phase. What we're doing basically is we create gemstones portfolio for our clients as an institutional purpose, as an investing purpose. And now we've collaborated with Paul and Simply Tokenized to take this to the next level, basically take the oldest asset in the world, the natural colored gemstone, and bring it through the blockchain into the 21st century. And yeah, Paul has been amazing so far, created this platform, Simply Tokenized, which allows us to do what we can do best, select the best gemstones for our clients.
Thank you very much. So, Bianca, what is Simply Tokenized and what are you doing in Simply Tokenized?
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Bianca Stoll. I'm the Operations and Project Manager at Simply Tokenized. So, what is Simply Tokenized? Simply Tokenized we are a software as a service company. We aim to provide sustainable and future-oriented financing. And now you ask how? With our all-in-one white label solution. So with our solution, you will get, on one hand, a setting portal where you can manage and generate and launch your own token products. With our token products in our store on our platform, you will also get the legal contract with many products. And on the other hand, you will get your own investor portal. The investor portal is completely customizable. And with this portal, you can expand your community and strengthen your community, and your community becomes your investors.
Perfect, thank you. And then I'm very happy that Andreas Petersen is here. He is live joining from Vienna, and you have to know he's really one of the pioneers, not only in Austria, of doing ICOs, working the blockchain area, so it's really great that you're here. But please explain yourself, what are you doing and what is Capacity?
Hello, yeah, thank you for having me. I've been working in blockchain technology for quite some time, since quite the beginning when just Bitcoin was around, and I've worked with many different projects to enable them to bring their ideas to the blockchain and to enable ownership of assets of their clients, and in various ways. So right now we are working with a couple of different projects. One that I would like to highlight is, of course, MetaNano games, that we are tokenizing in-game resources for players to own their little figures, their racers in the game, and also with a couple other projects of my own. And I think I can give you some insights in general of how tokenization is developing right now, and what are the directions that I think make sense right now to pursue. Not everything makes sense. I think we have seen a lot of issues with usability of assets in particular that we could maybe touch upon. If there's anything you'd like me to explain, just let me know.
So we definitely will go a step deeper. But before that, a quick question to the round. Who in the audience has and owns crypto or any tokenized assets? Raise your hands. Okay. So who doesn't? You have something to do for the weekend. It's really important for the next steps. So I guess it would be very important to understand what is tokenization, what is blockchain. I think there is no one better than Andreas to give us a quick overview, to give a start into the topic. What is blockchain, what is Web3, and how this fits together?
Well, of course, it's a very broad topic, but what I always tell people, what is on the blockchain is what people interpret about what they think is on the blockchain. And the blockchain itself is a technology simply to arrange data structures in a timeline. So that sounds very abstract. NFTs and other assets that are represented on a blockchain are always integrated either within resources that are external to the blockchain, or referencing other assets inside the blockchain. For example, enabling certain access rights to certain assets, either in the physical world or in the digital world, as in classic Web2 products, or even fully digitized, for example, as collateral tokens, or as liquidity tokens in the context of DeFi. And one of my favorite examples, of course, is ENS, where you can own your own domain name on the blockchain. And yeah, so it is a very broad topic. I would say everything that is potentially ownable is something you can represent as a digital asset. And the ideas are endless, but we have seen many things tried so far, and some things have really worked well. For example, what I would always highlight is that simply NFTs as digital images do represent a new type of art genre or art direction, as I would say paintings or manufacturing something is like two different art directions, and NFTs are a separate art direction. And in that, we have seen a very rich ecosystem develop surrounding that. But of course, not everything works, and we are about to find out what will be picked up by users and what we will have some lessons learned.
Perfect. Maybe I just want to add here one element which I heard in the presentation, and just give this analogy to you. So I see blockchain as an operating system like Windows, and you have your smart contracts like your Office that's running on your Windows. And then you can build whatever you want on it. And then we have some special topic, which is a token. And the token is nothing else as your Excel, where you store who owns what in a smart contract. And the funny part, or the interesting part, is that whatever you do and develop on the operating system blockchain, you cannot change it. Only change it the way you programmed it how you programmed it before. This means when I own something, only I can transfer it and not someone in between. And this enables a lot of new possibilities. And now we come to the possibilities. Let's start with Emmanuel. So what are use cases and what is your use case where you say this really makes sense?
Yeah. I really see the blockchain as the opportunity of and it sounds a bit corny, but it's kind of like the democratization of investing in a sense. And what we can do with our asset, that's gemstones, is mostly we provide those assets to very highly wealthy clients. So the investing, it starts at 3,000, but it mostly makes sense at around 10,000 and more. But if you take a large gemstone or a really valuable gemstones of, let's say, 1 million or more, and you split it into tokens and you give fractional ownerships to many, many people, they still are able to trade it, to enjoy the value appreciation, to just enjoy the benefits of the asset without having to commit such a large amount of money to it, and also without ever having to even reach that level of wealth. And that, I think, is very interesting to really open up this space for more and more people and really give them also ownership of the assets rather than ownership as it is right now in Web 2 to some large corporation.
Berko, now going to you, what do you see as use cases, or where do you see that tokenization also for companies makes sense?
So first of all, I think our Simply Tokenized platform is aimed to all industries, but especially our solution, especially for startups. Our solution is perfect because when they they need funding, and also want to involve the community at the same time to grow organically.
We have one company which is called Sheanform. So what they did and what was their way of enabling their community?
So yeah, as Paul said, I will give a short insight in some projects of Simply Tokenized. As he mentioned, Sheanform. The company Sheanform is a football accessories producer and seller, and with them we implemented a tokenized subordinated loan. The investors got a token, and after a term of 18 months, they received the money plus 8% back, and so on. This was the project.
Perfect. So it's a great way also to involve your community in smaller ways of financing. And now turning to you, Andres, I mean, you have seen, I guess, I don't know, more than, I guess, 50% of all the projects worldwide, and of course all of the projects in Austria, and you're also involved in a lot of projects. And I mean, there's one project which comes into my mind, which is with an, let's say, not governmental organization, but someone which has to do with STEMs. May you want to give, first of all, explanation on that? So how did they use it, why did they use it, and what was the great success of this project?
Yeah, I think I have one lying here on my desk by accident. It was the Austrian crypto stamp, which we started to work on this project in 2018. It was released in 2019, so it was very early in the NFC hype cycle, so to say. And we showed in that it was relatively straightforward and intuitive how to link a physical asset to a digital asset. And that basically means you define a digital asset, and then you give certain ways, a way to access a user who owns the physical asset to then control the digital asset afterwards. In the case of the first crypto stamp, what we did is simply print a QR code behind a hidden label. So anybody who owns the asset could then scratch off the protection layer and then access the private key, and by thus accessing the digital asset as well as the physical asset. On the third edition, what we did is actually work with NFC as well to enable certain functions that are only enabled if you own the physical asset. And that idea has brought a lot of, let's say, that idea has been adopted in many different domains already. So I've seen toys being linked to NFTs. I have seen artwork being linked to NFTs. And right now we are also working on a solution to link music digital to NFC tags. That is actually something new that I'm going to talk about a bit later. Not today, but yeah, so there are many different ways how to do that. And the great thing about this product in particular was that it was easy onboarding for everyone at every skill level, because you can say, I just own this little card and it looks shiny and that's it. I'm not going to think about it any further. It's a great collectible item for me. Or I can start to scan it with my phone and look at the digital representation. Or I can then even start to import the key into my digital wallet, transfer the assets, consolidate them, bring them into collections. And those are just a few examples of many different things that you can do in a digital ecosystem. Because when you are building on standards, you inherit a huge amount of really interesting and useful tools. And it's like, just because you, it is almost like if you build your non-standardized digital product, it would be just like you would build a website for CompuServe today, in my opinion. Because if you are on the internet or on CompuServe, it's a huge difference if users can reach you or not. Just to understand the analogy. That's why everybody right now who is seriously thinking about digitizing their assets, they have to think about, okay, how can I make this accessible to tools? How can I make it accessible to humans? What kind of tools are interoperable with it? And that naturally leads you to some conclusions like which blockchains to use, or even to use any blockchain at all. How much exposure do I want to give my users to these blockchain tools? Or how easy should the onboarding be? So there is just it's still a moving target, because it's there is a lot of technology still evolving, but we already see a lot of benefits from working with these tokenized assets. Maybe briefly to explain as well, another very practical asset that we have digitized was physical wines. So with Crypto Wine, we worked with the Austrian Chamber for Agriculture, where we took physical wine bottles stored in a professional warehouse, and we sold NFT representations of individual bottles to people. It's still a running project, so on cryptowine.at you can find it, and it's really intuitive for people as well. You own the NFT, you can transfer the NFT to other people, and then at some point you redeem it for a physical wine bottle, and then you can drink it. So that's a very obvious benefit of having this type of assets digitized in that way.
And where do you see the market go? So if I now want to work in the topic of tokenization, want to look at that, Andreas, so what would you say short term? What are the next upcoming hot topics? If you're a startup or if you're a company going to the direction, where would you look at?
So right now I see a lot of movement and a lot of really great innovation in games, to be honest. Games are just a natural fit for people to own their digital assets. And if you think about games, you are completely exposed to the goodwill of the developer in any way. Be it if they port their games to a new platform, if they open up their games to trading or whatnot. And for developers right now, it's very obvious that giving players more control over their assets gives them a lot of confidence to spend more time in that ecosystem, because you can then exit without being completely disrupted or without having the feeling of throwing everything away. The other thing is NFTs are representing more complex digital things like ownership of names, ownership of certain projects, ownership in certain fan communities, or for example, media productions and so on. So there is a lot of more complex ad hoc interaction that's being enabled by having these tools around. And even if you look at, for example, if somebody wants to start a podcast right now, the listeners of these podcasts, they love to be engaged with the media producers, with the content producers, and also their NFT ownership is an interesting tool to serve as a club membership thing. So this is also something where I see a lot of positive developments. Where I'm a bit bearish on at the moment, to be clear about that, is the 10K PFP kind of NFT projects that have been very popular in 2021 and to some extent in 2022. But it's this concept, I think, has only managed to capture a very limited audience. And if you're going in the direction of blockchain enabling something here, it should be clear to anybody engaging that this has been a sort of, I wouldn't say a dead end, but it's a certain direction where it only is only appealing to a group of, let's say, about 100,000 people in the world, and it doesn't seem to grow any further, in my opinion. So you definitely have to hit a sweet spot of hitting a mainstream use case that really makes sense for users, and where you put the community first and then think about, does it make sense to add digital ownership to that community and that product in particular? So it should always be the other way around, not what kind of digital product can I build surrounding my community.
Perfect. Emmanuel, you want to add?
Yeah, if I may add to that, just to also go a little bit beyond the digital assets and the ownership, I think one future application of the blockchain, which we're really underestimating, is in the supply chain area. So particularly in accountability and transparency when it comes to ESG, for example. So what we've seen, obviously I'm from the gemstone sector, so I got to take that, but what we've seen a lot is the request of our clients that we need to bring in more and more ESG transparency, make sure that everything is the way that it's supposed to do, and we are actually implementing more and more blockchain technology within that as well. So, for example, there are ways to check, the check-in, check-out points from the mine to the cutter to the final client, have that transparently on the blockchain and have the supply chain available for the consumer at any point and unmutable. So just to add to that there's also use cases beyond the digital assets and the digital ownerships that we've been talking about right now.
Bianca, you want to add something?
Yeah, to continue with the use cases from Simply Tokenized, there is also a project with Transformationsmanagers. Transformationsmanagers is an association in which for work is paid with time donation. So we implemented with them a time donation token named Happy Doing Token, and therefore they get the time donation token for work and can exchange it for other services like workshops and so on. And the other project will continue is with the Natural Gem with Emmanuel and with Habsburg. With them we implemented or we tokenized a gemstone portfolio. There people can invest in the gemstone portfolio and participate in the increase in value of stones. But Emmanuel can continue and can deeper.
I like that we had a pitch about a gold coin before, so that sets the stage quite well. Basically what we're doing, and what Andreas has explained really quite well, is we're linking a physical asset to a digital asset, similar to maybe how CryptoWine works or other projects in that space. What we have made is basically a portfolio of a naturally non-fungible good, so every gemstone in that portfolio is actually unique. So we're doing kind of the opposite than NFT is doing, and making it fungible. So we're making it kind of into an asset which doesn't care about the uniqueness of each stone. So the people are actually participating in the value appreciation of the whole portfolio rather than one particular stone. And, which is the clue about this, we're also giving the people the option to always exchange their token to the actual physical asset if they would rather have a ruby at home, for example. And they are also able to kind of stake their coins in an NFT if they just want to own the digital twin or the non-fungible token of a specific stone. So very many options within the portfolio.
Perfect. So there is one big topic now also coming, and always when we talk about ownership and financial products, it's regulation. And there is now There's a new regulation coming, which is called MiCA. Emmanuel, can you say some words about this and what this means for the industry?
Yeah, for sure. So I think there are three big aspects that really kind of make MiCA such an important step for this segment, this area. So one for sure is that regulation kind of makes it available to the public. So the first thing that I'm getting asked from family offices or from institutional investors is, do you have an ISIN number? Is this regulated? What can you give me that I know that I'm not doing anything that will harm my investors later? And MiCA is this stamp of approval that the crypto sector has needed to get it on par of existing financial instruments such as stocks or bonds or others. This is definitely very, very important. The next thing is it just frees entrepreneurs like me who have spent so much time, trying to figure out if they're doing something wrong, doing everything right, which jurisdiction do we go. We can focus much more on innovation, spend our capacity on implementing what we want and improve our product. And the third thing, which I think is maybe even the most important thing, is that it's a pan-European framework. So there's no different framework in Poland to Austria to Germany to other European countries. We are actually one united front that is kind of establishing this European innovative spirit all over the world. And I think MiCA is the most important step that the crypto sector can take and has taken to fulfill that goal.
Perfect. So Bianca, what do I have to do if I want to make my own product? What are the steps that I need to do, and where should I look at, and what is community and how does community fit in the whole topic?
So if you want to generate a token, please contact us, Simply Tokenized. I will give you access if you want to a demo. You can test everything on your own, and if you want, you can have access to your own platform, to your own investor portal. You can set up your own company design to the platform, and then you can expand your community with the investor portal and create your own token, public the token in the investor portal, and your community can invest in the tokens.
Perfect. Maybe to the round, one question to the round, and then we ask the audience if there are some questions in the audience. So what are the next big steps? So we start now with natural gems, with GEMS tokens. Where does the market go? Is it the end at that, or is it the beginning of something? Is this playing together with other topics? So how do you see the future of this technology?
So particular to our project or in general? I think in general, it's even questionable if we ever, at some point, that's maybe very far in the future, I even wonder if there ever will be no physical asset left, if we're just going to work with the digital assets, because if you think about it, mining gold and such, it's still something that, could be completely digital and doesn't really need to be physical at all. With gemstones, it's a little bit less intrusive in the environment, but still, does it really need to be physical at all? Could it be only in the metaverse or in the Web3 space? I think we're not there yet, but it could be that in the future there's no physical asset behind it. I think with wine it will be a little bit difficult to achieve, but with precious metals. But for us, I think we're just trying to re-examine every space of our company, trying to implement Web3 where we can, make it more transparent, more accountable, and just increase the ownership of our investors, of our community in a sense, which has been a great fun ride so far, and I hope it keeps going.
Perfect. Bianca, how do you see the future of Web3 tokenization? What do you see in the market in the next years?
Yeah, I think the traditional funding will always be a topic, but I also think blockchain and alternative financing methods are the future, and yeah.
Andreas, now I give a more tough one to you and also want to link it with Metaverse. Because we have Web3 and Metaverse as a topic, and we have already heard in the morning session where we had Arthur, the CEO of Somnium Space, who said metaverse is only metaverse if you have blockchain technology enabled. So where do you see the future Web3, metaverse? Where do you think the market goes?
Yeah, so I think we have already seen some great experiment in that direction for showing off. So I think a lot of assets are meant for prestige, of course. And having a great NFT collection is definitely a factor of prestige in the Twitter space, in the digital world, etc. for a number of people. The metaverse makes for a great place to have a gallery for NFTs. I've seen some great examples for that, and it's a pleasant experience. It's a nice experience. It's almost like going to a physical museum to look at curated collections. I think that has definitely a strong use case that I hope will stick and I hope will expand a lot. For specialized communities, it's also great to have a place to meet, to have a more engaging experience. But personally, I have also great experiences when I simply do a video call with people. So it's sometimes a bit hard for me to see how can I step up my, let's say, engagement level by going really to the metaverse versus a video call. And so that the benefit isn't strong enough to compel people to get the extra hardware and so on and so on, to get used to the software tools and so on. So I think that's a bit yeah, it's certainly something that the ecosystem has to improve upon yet. But a positive thing about NFTs in the metaverse in particular is that it is, in principle, it is also device neutral. So you could experience it on a mobile phone, you could experience it better on a nice multi-monitor setup, or you can experience it with a headset to wear to be fully immersed in the world. So the good metaverses, I think, are able to show off their capabilities in many different environments. And yeah, in particular for linking assets, we have seen mutable digital assets a lot also. So things that you can interact with and modify. So for example, the right to inscribe or the right to occupy certain spaces or to the right to modify metaverses governed by the use of NFTs makes for a great group dynamics as well. And that we've seen as well for collaborative projects. And the most interesting implementation for me, at least personally, was crypto voxels, where you are able to build a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a lot of adoption in terms of viewership or in terms of marketing compared to others. But in terms of collaborative tools, it's really great. And if you look at experiments like, for example, these pixel walls where everybody can place their pixels, I think that will be something that will be explored more in the future with NFTs as well, where you can sort of protect your property by owning certain NFTs.
Perfect. So are there any questions from the audience? Okay, so everybody is preparing for the weekend to test their own tokenization products, so this is very well. So then the last thing is only to give a big applause to the panelists. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time. Please, an applause. And if you want to know more and want to interact with other startups in the Web3 and Metaverse, please join at startuplive.org and visit us at the booth behind where you can also experience the Metaverse by yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.